As Australia grapples with a surge in flu cases, we're being warned about the inappropriate use of antibiotics, and it could make infections more dangerous. A UK study in mice has discovered antibiotics can wipe out gut bacteria that help in the early fight against the virus. Dr Joe Kosterich is here to talk us through the findings. Good afternoon, Dr Joe.
Good afternoon, Tracy.
What's your take on this research? Are antibiotics damaging our defences?
Very interesting research. Now, we've known for a while that the antibiotics have no use against a virus, so if you have a cold or you do have the flu or a similar strain, then taking an antibiotic won't actually help. But there's been a view that, oh, well, look, it's not going to do any harm. Well, there are three forms of harm. Number one, there are concerns about antibiotic resistance, and that's at a global level, that bacteria are now not as susceptible to antibiotics as they used to be. Number two, that we can get unnecessary and unwanted side effects. But this new research suggests that not only may it not help, it might actually make things worse by impacting the immune response in the lungs. And the mediating mechanism, as you mentioned in the intro, and I've got to say, it's a mouse study, so it's not the final word, suggests that by interfering with the gut bacteria and the release of some proteins, the resistance in the lungs is also reduced.
OK, what about what happens if you take antibiotics for a virus then?
Well, as I said, first and foremost, it does not make any difference.
Okay.
And I think that's really the most important point. Antibiotic is antibacterial. So if you haven't got a bacterial infection, then taking an antibiotic is just not going to work. It won't help you. It can cause side effects, and the main ones being nausea and stomach upset. Some people get diarrhoea. Some people may get a rash. But we know that antibiotic resistance is a problem. And at a global level, organisations like the World Health Organisation are concerned that in the future we may not have antibiotics when we do need them against bacteria.
Okay.
But again, if we know that it actually makes our condition worse and makes it more likely that we'll have a worse case, then hopefully that will focus people's minds.
Rather than taking antibiotics, what can we take to boost our immune system then?
Look, the most important thing when you get sick is to rest up, to allow the body's defence systems to work and save energy for that. We know that managing our stress is important. We know that drinking enough water, and we know that eating a sensible, balanced diet and getting some vitamins and minerals. Vitamin C is the old chestnut, and some people have said it helps, some people have said it doesn't. Certainly zinc and vitamin C supplements may have a role for some people. It depends on individual circumstances, but resting up is probably the most important thing for people to do when they're not well.
OK, what about deciphering between a flu or just a bad cold?
Yeah. A typical flu-like illness, you'll have a high temperature, aches and pains, headache, loss of energy, loss of appetite. You really feel very unwell. And one of the hallmark symptoms is a high temperature. You don't get so much the cough, runny nose and sore throat. A cold is sort of the opposite. You get a cough, runny nose and sore throat. If you do get a temperature at all, it's going to be fairly low. You don't get the aches and pains. You may have a headache, but it won't be that bad. You might lose a little bit of appetite, but you really don't feel quite as unwell. Now, in the middle, you've got strains that have some overlap, so it's not like they're in pigeonholes, but a clear flu-like illness is very distinct from a cold-like illness.
Sure is, and it's all going around at the moment, Dr Joe. We've all got to be very careful.
We do indeed, Tracy. It is winter, happens every year.
Certainly it does. All right, Dr Joe, thank you so much.
You're welcome.